And we are live. Welcome to today's severe weather live stream. It's technically before the storm because who knows if I'll be able to stream for the storm. I hope to, but I don't know. So anyway, let's get into it. Currently, we are looking at a couple different warnings that are out. The yellow is going to be a tornado watch. That's could impact us eventually, but we'll have to look at the models to make sure of that. And then this purplish pink, whatever you want to call it, that's a severe thunderstorm watch. That's expected to end around 10 p.m. Central Time. The little red maroon area, it's a flash flood warning. That's expected to end sometime soon. And then we just had those orange things that are severe thunderstorm warnings. Looking at our SPC outlook, which they have not issued just yet. They might be making some big changes, so we can come back to them. Looking at the model, though, we can fast forward a while to about, this is going to impact, starting at like midnight even, it could hit the area that I technically cover, but then it won't hit Milwaukee until about 1:30, I want to guess, but sometime in the 1 o'clock hour. And then around 3 a.m. is when it's going to hit. You can kind of see that Boeing segment. That indicates the higher, stronger winds. But if we look at a sounding, this kind of can give us some clues. It does suggest, my pen tool will open. It does, oh, it won't work. It is showing that marginal tornado risk that is up in that bottom rightish corner. And this is the hodograph. That is actually a very great hodograph. It shows, you can look at the right curvature, kind of curves right. Unfortunately, I really wish my pen tool worked with this, but it doesn't. So you can't really see, but it curves kind of like this, and that is actually signifying a supercell. If we go down to that bottom left box, and I will zoom in a lot, we can see that we have relatively lower CAPE values, except for in that forecast version, that's suggesting 2,000. That's a lot. Even now, though, that most unstable of 858 is definitely good enough for severe weather, so if that could continue, we could see that. The one thing that could impact that is the SIN-H, but then again, the storms could always break through that cap. It's the cap, it kind of blocks it. That SIG SVR number, typically 10,000 and above means severe, 20,000 above means significant. We're sitting at 16,200, so that's not a bad number. The supercell number, 5.1, that is more than enough, but this is a wind-driven event. It looks like a QLCS. It bows, but then it also might have tornadoes that are on the front edge of it. With that 1.0 STP, it's actually a lot, even with that SIN that's being forecasted. Lapse rates don't really tell me that there's going to be hail. And then just one more thing with this, it is actually kind of boring to read these. The SRH, that stands for Storm Relative Helicity. We certainly have enough for rotation if storms rotate, which they do look like they kind of would, especially on this edge over here. Storm-wise, how it moves is actually very interesting. I would need the sub-hourly HRRR model, which I don't have, unfortunately. But it looks like it's kind of curving like that, which, even looking at, this is 4 a.m., so this is like nighttime severe storms. We could push this, nothing. So everything has cooled off by 4, which is good. Currently, temperature-wise, Currently, temperature-wise, we are looking at, it's about 62 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty warm. I like it. It's a nice temperature. The humidity is 93%, and I want to go back here to look at the temperature. Oh, this is 18Z. We don't want that. We want the more up-to-date. I did not realize that this was actually out of date, this model. So I actually have to go back. And let's see what time the storms are expected to hit based on this model. Not a Boeing line segment. It looks like a couple smaller cells around 3 a.m. Some areas might not even get hit. No longer flagging tornado as the main threat, though it still looks possible but not likely. I really wish I caught that sooner. But it does still show severe, so it does seem like it might be damaging winds. I would even say potentially destructive winds. Going back to the Storm Prediction Center, they still have not issued the latest outlook, which is a little worrying. But looking at their other one, their older one, yeah, they might be making some big changes to this. Looking at the old one, you can see that we're under that marginal risk, but just barely. Most of the area is a slight risk. That slight is driven by wind, not really hail. Like I said, hail is a secondary threat. And again, a tornado or two possible, though it seems unlikely for us. That little hatching is part of the new SIG, I call it. It is basically just the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center now tells you the level of threat. So SIG 1 for a 2% means there's a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, and that tornado could be an EF2 at its max. Going back, I do want to show you those temperatures, because it is very interesting, the temperatures, the way it was showing. We're at 61. We cool off, but then it goes back at 11. Cools off before then increasing again right around the time storms come. And then that right there is a cold front, and that would be what's pushing those storms up, or more east, I should say. But tomorrow's still expected to be a little cooler. The high during the day would be 46 during the remainder of the day, rising 60 though earlier in the day. Sunday again, now it's looking like it's going to be 61, and then 70 Monday, cooling off Tuesday. If you have not noticed, there's this little black line that's cutting through the bottom. That's supposed to display weather alerts, but because there really is nothing that's been issued, there's no reason to really show it here. And then not much else to say, but we can look at the radar. And after that seamless transition to the radar, we can see that rain is generally moving out for the remainder of the time. But then, got all these little warnings over here in Nebraska. Could they hit us? There is a chance that they end up turning. But those are just severe warnings, canceled warnings. Tornado warnings down. I did not want to pull that up. Tornado warnings down in Oklahoma. That does not concern us at all. So that was really just a little bit. Here's the flash flood warning I was talking about. And 7:02, emergency managers reported thunderstorms that were producing heavy rain, probably moving out around now. They don't really say it's going to be significant, which is a good thing. That's about it with the radar. I really wish the Storm Prediction Center would update. Back with the SPC again, still no updates. They did have this mesoscale discussion, basically just saying damaging winds along this line in Indiana. That was the line that was moving out of us. But I do want to look at the meso analysis. That's always a great one to look at. We have lost a little bit of the instability since earlier, but looking at the HRRR, because sometimes instability is associated with the temperature and dew point. So if I could find it, I like to look at the most unstable because that tells you how unstable the air is. It is expected to really increase 3 a.m. into the thousands. And as of right now, it really doesn't show. It does show that little bit. I misclick sometimes, so it does show what we were seeing. It moves out, comes back, and it returns with that line of storms, which is why there's that severe threat. Again, tornado, even though that does say 69% tornado, how likely is that? It seems a little less likely. But the Storm Prediction Center also hasn't updated, so there's always that. This is actually outdated looking at it. So it's supposed to say 01 UTC. Supposed to be looking at that. So they also haven't updated that, so the National Weather Service, though, here's what they're saying. All thunderstorms will produce those lightning strikes anywhere from midnight through daybreak, localized downpours, gusty winds, strongest may be capable of downing tree limbs. And then their outlook Tuesday, just have to watch those storms. But since the Storm Prediction Center isn't updating, which is not like them usually. Oh, they have. Okay, good. We can look at the 04 to 12Z. That is essentially just showing 70% probability of thunderstorms, so we will likely see those thunderstorms up there. And then they've kept us into... Oh. So it did update, but it's a little slow to update, it looks like. Which is normal. So while we wait for that update, I can open up the chat for questions. So ask anything. And this is also, it's a little bit slower. So when I see this, you probably messaged a little while before when I respond, just because it's sending to YouTube, which is a little slower. Yeah, still no update. Very unlike them to do that. Is that? Actually, while we wait for that fully to update, We can check other models. I don't like these as much. Let's look at, I'm going crazy. I need to look at surface-based composite reflectivity. This shows a lot more brokenness. It's pretty actually good there, but as it moves along, it breaks up into about 5 a.m. We look at the sounding. I want to delete that. 1 second. Sounding wise, no threat at 3 a.m. Marginal tornado, that just stands for weak tornado. That would be at 4 a.m., which looking at this, this one definitely does show the supporting things. That STP is a little low. And then by 5 a.m., an actual tornado. But this is all, the models aren't the world's greatest. They are obviously going to be a little slower. And the maps still have not updated. Sometimes it takes a little while when we have this up. But at 6 a.m., we're looking at no threat. So it is definitely, according to this, a little later in the morning. Again, you could always ask questions in the chat. This model, this is a beta test model. So I don't know how great it would be. This showing storms at 2 a.m. with a tornado risk. 6 loose matches. It matched it with a significant tornado from... Oh, right. This one doesn't read as nicely as the other ones I use. But you can really see the curvature on this one. A lot of stuff that supports it. If you've been with us the entire time, that 25,756 actually is the highest I've seen. The storm relative helicity, the material needed to rotate, is also very good. Cape, again, great. Critical angle, little off, but that can be worked with. And then the temperatures, if they would pull up 65, and then you can see that cold front right up there. Really don't like how that draws. Let's see if the Storm Prediction Center has updated yet. Because it says they did, but it has to say 0100. There have been tornado reports in Michigan, which is something that wasn't expected. Actually, this entire thing looks like they might be doing something big, because they have not updated anything that's supposed to say 01 UTC up there. Again, open for questions while we wait. This, I wanted to pull this one up. This is the good one. This shows that Saturday at about midnight, so it's actually tonight at midnight, you can clearly see that cold front. And again, they're flagging thunderstorms possible. Saturday at 6 a.m., we, again, also rain and thunderstorms likely. By about noon, we'd watch any flooding possible. I do not know for sure. Actually, I do know now that I think about it. I was about to say no, but I do remember they put us under, and actually I'm already here. Yesterday was a marginal risk for flash flooding. Today it remains that marginal risk, so at least 5% probability of a flash flood or excessive rainfall. They are warning for about an inch of rain possible in the next 24 hours. Tomorrow it moves out. And then it actually returns, I believe day 5 is, Tuesday. So it returns on Tuesday, that threat of flooding. I can get the exact rainfall for the next 25 hours. Actually, I don't remember if this was the one. Oh, yeah. 24-hour. It's mostly really down south. More up here, we would be looking at a very small amount of rainfall, but if we count the total, be a lot higher because today's storms. Oh, right. That is, forgot this starts then. So it actually doesn't count today. I never like that about this model. So more southern Cook, wherever else these counties will. This area, rain, a lot of it. Here you could still see some flooding, that's 0.2 inches, plus what you count we got today. Still definitely flooding. I am ready for another question if there is no follow-up with that one. And then Sunday, this all moves out. Ooh, we can look at the satellite. The Goes East satellite. And if we look at the lightning flash extent, so let me pull this up as a regular picture. You can see that there will be clearing over here before the storms. Those are likely to be the storms that bow. The colors just represent where the lightning is, which you can see in this area, lots of lightning, which does also, shockingly, lightning can signify severe storms. That is something that lightning is known to do, which I've always found interesting, how lightning can tell you. But it always has to do with the instability in the air. I wanted to show water vapor. This one, that is not big enough. Once it loads, this one, that green, shows a lot of water vapor, and again, a lot of water vapor right by those storms, and this was the upper level band, so of course that one's going to show it. This one too, lower level, or mid-level, this was mid-level, that one also does show the water vapor in front of those storms, so those storms will have enough energy. If that energy continues on, it's not known. And low-level water vapor, again, most of the area, which I would have expected. I am checking on those Storm Prediction Center outlooks, which did come out. They didn't make any major adjustments to it. You think we will have any more snow? I think there is a chance. I can check the model in just a few minutes. Tornado-wise, again, They kept us under that tornado risk, so there is at least at some point going to be a tornado risk, and this covers us until 6 a.m. Wind-wise, they still don't think it's going to be that bad of wind. And hail, again, not much hail. For the snow, I need to find the right one. Total snowfall, this shows me the entire snowfall throughout the time. So yes, as of right now, a little bit of snow, but only about ½ inch. This ends at 1 p.m. Central Time on March 22nd. This model does consistently update, though. It updates every 3 hours. So, yeah, not a lot of snow. If you go up north, of course, there's still going to be a lot more snow. Do want to check on that mesoanalysis. That one's a very good one. This one updated. We are a little lower, but if I put it in the line mode, also, again, very low, actually. The CAPE is expected to increase later, though, and this is because this is as of right now. So the supercell is a little low. We have okay helicity, great LCL. LCL is the base of the cloud, which does actually signify a tornado, or at least the probability. And that STP would have to get a little higher. Point values, there's no instability on the surface. That was a horrible circle. But it does look like we could still get that. The hodograph, right moving curvature, and then it moves like that, which also can signify some bowing segments and stronger winds. Skew T, though, actually does show a little bit of instability on the surface. So this is 6 hours from now, which would be about 1 a.m., where those storms are still in Iowa. You can see, I don't think it stays static, but you can see that SCP gets a little higher, which is why I think those storms are going to strengthen. The CAPE, surface-based, those storms will have a little bit of CAPE. Over there, it was supposed to get a lot lower, but over here, we expect it to get higher. Just still not enough confidence, and there probably will not be any confidence with this system at all. The shear, which is very important, those storms have great shear. So that's why this could also just be a low CAPE, high shear setup. And then beta. This is actually showing, I think it's based off of these storms here. It's a 15% probability of a tornado. I don't think that's going to happen now. Yes, the 850 millibar. That one was actually better on. I like this model, the RAP. Stands for Rapid Refresh. It's a great model. And if I went to upper air, we can kind of get a visualization as to the jet stream, which right now is actually pushing that moisture up from most likely the Gulf. If I went in, which I will do, to the national scale, you can see it kind of carries it out from the Gulf, and that's actually why we think severe weather is still at least a little bit possible. But then as it continues, it keeps pushing those storms out towards us. This is only 9 p.m. This is about the time you can really see that would be pushing those storms right for us. Again, you can always ask questions in the comments if you think I missed something or have a question about it. Temperatures, again, these are all, they don't usually agree. Most they agree on is temperature, which they're doing. And this one actually kind of agrees with timing, about 3-4 a.m. This one isn't a high resolution, though. Marginal severe. That's probably why the Storm Prediction Center held off. Still showing that there is at least a minimal threat for wind, hail, tornadoes. I don't think I will be live streaming. I thought they might upgrade based on everything else, but it no longer looks like they issued the alerts, well, not alerts, but more the risk that I need. Looking, we were there. Give me a second. Now, I do have a very specific standard for this, and that's that it has to be driven by wind or hail, or wind or tornado, and it has to be a slight risk, which it does show, but as of right now, I pushed day 2 by accident. That's tomorrow. As of right now, it just doesn't look like, even though it does cover more than half the area and there is that risk, it just doesn't seem like a time worth streaming for. Just because of that, again, ask me questions. Oh, there was one other, actually there's several. This is the Colorado State University, not college. I need to type in the day. This was their outlook. They have other, this is also in beta testing, but they have other models that do show that there is that tornado risk. They have yet to update it based on the SPC's new CIG categories. And there was also the NATOcast. It's another good one. I don't know if they have 0Z yet. Oh, they do. No, they don't. Because now it's... I do like the HRRR. That is considered the gold standard. Mostly because it's a CAM, which stands for Convection Allowing Model. So it actually looks at the instability, and it will tell you what it thinks the storm's going to do. That one's great. I try to use the Rufus A model. That's the RRFSA. I just call it Rufus. But because that's in beta testing, I don't want to rely on it. GFS is good for long term. You see that in my videos basically weekly. This is NATOcast. They have not updated since noon. But it's still... So you can ignore that bottom because that's no longer what they're saying. But they still think that there is a slightly bigger tornado threat here in Chicago and Milwaukee. But if I reweighted the wind, it actually now projects a bit of a higher wind risk. There was... Actually, I wanted to look at a better satellite version. I forgot about one version of the satellite I really like. This is from the College of DuPage, where I can go into weather data, satellite and radar. We can look at... Well, this one doesn't show it. Never liked that. Oh, yeah, it does have it. And then, so this is the water vapor that I was talking about. I can overlay the cape. You can zoom in. Now, it is very hard to see that cape, but it's about 500 here. And this was beforehand. So that's the latest satellite that we have. Those storms over there, almost 2,000. So we'll have to see where Actually, I know where those are going. They're coming here. But we'll have to see if that cape holds up to what they're projecting. I'll lower this a bit. No alert message. I was really hoping an alert actually went out so I could see that weather alert thing that I have set up show actually. Upper level shows just about the same thing. They just kind of change it based on what you see. I could put up radar overlaid with satellite and cape. Now it gets kind of hard to see, but you can see where those storms are, and you could see if I continue to turn off those storms where they are on the lower level. Water vapor instability, if you look, they're entering an area of more capping. Mass divergence. Pressure falls. This shows how much the pressure falls. Right behind that, that is about -1, so not much. Temperatures, let's see what the temperatures used to be. Watches and warnings is always a good one to pull up. Just that one severe thunderstorm watch. I do think there's a chance they put another one out, so I would still be prepared for... I did not do that right. I would still be prepared. Wind gusts, I don't think it really... No. Wind gusts, we don't have enough stations. Oh, we do. They're just not measuring. I can overlay the outlook. But I think that is about all for this video, or I should say live stream. If you have any more questions, I will keep this open for 1 more minute, unless there's questions. But it does not look like I'll be streaming at this time for the storm. So just a few more questions. That'll be it for tonight. Alright, so I'm not getting anything. So thank you so much for watching this live stream. It has been great sharing this information. Stay weather aware. There is still a chance I live stream tonight. It seems lower, but it does depend on what happens, because it's always something different depending on how things move. Oh, that came up. Alright, I'm going to end that here. Thank you so much for watching.